probably one of the fastest. He's probably got the most pedigree out of these guys. Late addition to the field, and he's still struggling to get used to it. He normally rides a TSR frame bike in Japan, which is considerably different to the standard Honda frame which he has here, and he's been struggling to get his head around that, as have a lot of the riders. Really, they can only make real basic changes. They can sort of change the ride height at the rear, and go softer and harder at the front and rear, but they can't sort of change offset or any angles like that. So they've been working in a fairly tight-knit framework to find what works, and they've had 2 tyre options as well to choose from, and they've all made those selections over the hours of testing they've had this week, all in very similar conditions to what we've had in terms of temperature. But it is the wind that is the big factor today, and it's going to make it interesting for these guys during the race.
Yeah, right. It hasn't been a trouble-free weekend so far. There have been a few thrills and spills, a few incidents along the way, partly due to that strong wind as well, of course, but it is particularly strong today. There's Wilman Hammer then, the Indonesian, number 23. He starts 11th on the grid, 17 years old, so very much in the middle of the range there in terms of age. Remember, 13 to 20 is our age range in this particular Asia Talent Cup field. 8 races in all. How do you gauge the mood down there then? Have they been nervous? They've seemed very excited.
Well, I think Hamar will probably be the most nervous because he didn't actually... All of these other kids have ridden this bike in the Aragon test. He didn't see it until Tuesday evening. And his first laps were on Wednesday. And he's made a massive improvement. He's gone 5.5 seconds faster. And he nearly, in the qualifying yesterday, when everybody was a bit slower because of the headwind, he nearly bettered his time. So he's gained a lot of confidence over the course of the weekend, and they all have. They've gone from kids to racers now, and that's the point of this. They've been following a set agenda and timings, and they now know what they're supposed to be doing at each time. We have 2 brothers in this, actually. We have the Norodin brothers. This is the oldest of those, Adam, who's 15, and he's been joined by his brother Ibrahim, who again was a slightly late addition to this. He did all the selection process, but came in sort of last minute to fill one of the spots.
Just caught a glimpse of Alex Rins on the pit wall a few moments ago. Moto3 rider on Honda machinery, of course, and he finished 2nd in the Moto3 World Championship last season, lost the title at the last corner of the last race, unfortunately. But this is where it really starts to get serious then now. The engine just revving up on the grid. The mechanics will get out of the way, cameramen as well. And this is the moment there now, I think, where they really... It just dawns on them now, doesn't it? Everyone will get off the grid and they'll see a clear track in front of them. And then, of course, the warm-up lap will begin.
I wouldn't be surprised if we see a few of them really nailing this warm-up lap start, because they haven't really had any chance to do practice starts. They were due to do some at the end of qualifying, but it was a case of most of them were so focused on getting a lap in that by the time the checkered flag came out, they were their heads were in a totally different place, and they forgot to do a practice start. In fact, one of them did an extra lap just for good measure.
Warm-up lap beginning then. It's the first ever race in the Shell Advance Asia Talent Cup at the Lusail International Circuit in Qatar on the very same day the 2014 MotoGP World Championship begins. 7 hours away, as we said. Now, it's going to be very interesting identifying the riders throughout the race. As you can see, not only are the bike liveries identical, but they're all wearing white helmets as well, so we're going to have to keep a close eye on the numbers on the front of the fairings.
It's that, or if you just look at the back of their helmets, there's a tiny little white number on a white helmet on a white background that we could use. But yeah, do bear with us in the opening laps. We have spent a fair bit of time with these guys, but it's still a new championship for us as well. So we'll do our best to keep on top of it for you. But like I said, now these kids must have done close to 100 laps of the circuit over this week. So it's a case of checking out now, feeling it out on this warm-up lap, seeing if anything's changed. Again, they're the first people on track today. So maybe with this wind, a little bit of extra dust, a little bit of extra dirt blown across the track that they'll have to clear, and maybe it won't be brilliantly grippy offline.
Let's got a glimpse of the Gulf there in the background as they make their way around. There is some rubber down on the track already, of course. Bridgestone providing the tyres for the Asia Talent Cup. Just making their way around the middle section of the lap there now. Turn 6 is the slowest corner on the circuit. It's a bit further round though now. Coming around towards 7, 8 and 9 and down to the left-hand hairpin at 10. filtering their way further around the lap. They're now up towards the third sector. 12, 13 and 14 coming up there now for this maiden race in the championship. It's the inaugural race in the Shell Advanced Asia Talent Cup. It's the Lusail International Circuit in Qatar. It's an 8-race championship taking place over 6 race events throughout the season, running alongside MotoGP, of course, this weekend, as we also will be at the Grand Prix of Japan and Malaysia in October. But this isn't October, this is March, and this is March the 23rd, and a massive day in the world of motorcycle racing, and a massive day in particular, then, George, in the lives of these guys. 22 of them lining up this very first race in the series.
It is, and my heart actually is racing quite a bit now, so I have no idea how these guys are going to feel. This is the biggest race they've had so far in their careers for any of them. This is where it really starts to count. They may have raced before, they may have done underbone classes, they may have raced in Japan, they may have raced the Malaysian Championships or the Thai Championships, but this is the biggest stage that they've raced on. Identical bikes, identical helmets, identical leathers. It's going to be interesting to pick them out from each other, but as they line up on the grid, Alberto Puig, the talent scout, watches on.
Here we go then. Attention building, the red flag just held up at the front of the grid at this stage. 22 of them. Let's just hope they make their way through the first few corners cleanly. Hiroshi Ayama, as George mentioned earlier, Aspar MotoGP rider, now resides in Barcelona, having moved over from Japan, of course, one of the big challenges. Moving over for these riders as well. They'll be based in Europe sometimes throughout the year, but most of the races, of course, all of the races, of course, taking place in the Asian region. We stand by them for this very first race in the Shell Advance Asia Talent Cup.
So it's Date from Mizuno and then Sarah Puig.
Here we go then. The very first race in the Shell Advance Asia Talent Cup is away at the Lusail International Circuit. And Date, the pole sitter, away well as they stream down to the first corner for the first time. Watch the numbers on the fronts of the bikes.
And it is going to be Date from Sarah Puig, and on the inside is the other Thai rider, Atira Puvapat, in third place, but it is Date who leads into the first corner ahead of Sarah Puig and running a little bit wide. They all got away cleanly, and they're all through the first corner, but it is Date who leads as we head round turn 2.
Yes, into the right-hander at 3 for the first time. Be careful not to run wide. There is a lot of dust offline here at Lusail. 12 laps ahead of us, and it's great to see they've all made their way around those first few corners without trouble. Date leads the way. Sarah Puig is in second position. There's your order then, with Atira Puvapat inside the top 3 at the moment, but it's getting very, very bunched up indeed as they make their way around the right-handers of 4 and 5. And this is the slowest corner on the circuit. Number 4 trying to dive up the inside. That was Kitami.
And we've got a change for second positions. It's now Atira Puvapat into second position, passing his countrywoman into second. And we've got a gaggle of Japanese riders behind them, all lining up. Some of the more experienced riders in this field are the Japanese, and they will be looking to make a move. But it is Japan leading ahead of Thailand 2 and 3. But we've got a change for second position. Muklada Sarah Puig takes it back.
Great stuff, and Sarah Puig's family was extremely delighted. Sheer delight back at the selection event at Sepang last year when her name was revealed as one of the riders who'd got through to this first season and been selected to take part. More action going on. You don't usually see overtaking at turn 12 at the Lusail International Circuit, but nobody's told the Asia Talent Cup riders that, and somebody's run completely wide and out onto the runoff area. That's what I was mentioning before. That's where it gets so dusty on the outside. We'll try and catch a glimpse of the number, and rejoining right in the middle of the pack.
It was one of the, I think it may have been Sasaki, possibly Sasaki. He was running up there in about 6th or 7th position, and it was one of the smaller riders, so it looks like him. He's rejoined back at the back of the pack now, but it's all changing at the front again. We've got movement into the final corner of the track, and now let's watch them as they slipstream down here. Identical bikes, theoretically identical top speeds.
Watch Atira Puvapat, the Thai rider, number 13, very, very quick throughout free practice, was steaming up the inside at the final corner, side by side over the line onto the second of the 12 laps. Kitami is just ahead of Date as we reach the first corner for the second time. Look at this.
6 wide going into turn 1, but it's Date who managed to repass his countryman Kitame down into turn 1, and that was a great run. And here we go again. Sarah Puig moves back into second. So briefly Kitami was up into the lead, and then he loses two places in 2 corners. We've got a runner off the track that looks like number 13. No, it wasn't. It was 23. That was Wilman Hamar, the Indonesian rider, and these guys are going at it now.
Marvellous stuff. 3 and 4 and 5 abreast into these corners at 1 and 4. It's fantastic to see them all battling together and not running into each other. Brilliant stuff. So inexperienced generally. There's 2 distinct groups now, as you can see, forming up. But look at the battle going on at the front of the race. So this is turn 6, the slowest corner on the Losail circuit. We've seen quite a few problems through there all weekend long so far. But there is number 4 leading the way. 2 steaming up the inside is Sarah Push, and she's really going for it here. Could we have a female rider, the only female rider in this field, winning the inaugural race? She's certainly having a good go of it.
So it is Kitami that's leading the way. And he's improved, and we're going to have a change. No, we're not quite.
Oh,
number 16.
Well,
oh, no, was that Toba? Toba's gone down.
Yes,
so
attacking Sarah
Toba.
Attacking Sarah Push at turn 10. Lost the front end. Now, we were mentioning the crosswinds here today. Oh, what an unfortunate situation.
And it's locked in gear, so he's got to get that out of gear first. Now, watch the replay. He was a long way back. Goes for the inside, and he was very lucky not to take anybody out in that. The front just locked. He had 2 goes at tipping it into the turn, and on the second go, he was just a bit too much front brake and a bit too much of a go, and we've got a change at the front. Sarah Pooch now, after nearly being taken out, moves into the lead, perhaps thinking that she's going to try and make a break for this, and we have got a little bit of a gap now.
Yes, we have the top 2 breaking away and battling with each other, and they'll make the most of the slipstream down the start-finish straight here. 1 kilometre long is this start-finish straight. Now, we mentioned the Red Bull MotoGP Rookies Cup at the top of the programme. We've seen some brilliant action there over the last few years. That started in 2007. Meantime, back again, side by side over the line. Sarah Push on the right-hand side, Kitami on the left, and it looks as though we're going to have another change for the lead, and this could go on all race long.
Well, Kitami was past, and look at the draft we've got then. That was our pole sitter,
yes.
Yuta Date, who came from miles back. He came from about 10 metres back, picked up a double slipstream, and we got a crash, 2 together. Helmi Asman's gone out. Oh, that's disappointing. Really, he's made massive improvements, and Yoshida, both of those guys, 2 of our smallest riders, and let's see what happened here. Picked them up. Oh, they went out together. So it looks like it was Yoshida who was on the inside.
Yes, and plenty of fury
but
there.
Yoshida was pretty furious about that. So
they started together on the grid. They started 19th and 21st on the grid, so it looks as though we're down then from 22 to 19 runners at this point. It's getting close again at the front of the race, and these 2 at the front seem to be pulling away in the second half of the lap, but being caught again around the slower corners in the infield section.
Yeah, and Yuta Date has dropped right back. He's dropped back to 5th position now after leading at the end of the start-finish straight. So he's struggling in that first half of the track. 13 is Attira Puvapat, the second of the Thai riders here. And number 16 is Kaito Toba, another Japanese rider who has impressed all week.
Yes, indeed. Back in 2012, he was taking part in the Asia Road Race Championship on an underbone. Finished 15th overall that season. Meantime, then, the battle for the lead raging and changing again.
Sarah Pooch taking it back, just moving up the inside there of Kitami, and we could be looking at a tie 1-2 any minute now, because Attira Puvapat is on the move. The number 13, he led all the opening sessions, but no, it's changing every corner here. They're really so evenly matched.
And we said it might be difficult to score. This is great stuff though. Look at 13, that's Attira Puvapat having another go into the 16th and final corner of this Qatari circuit. It's going to be side by side, you can absolutely be sure of that, down the start-finish straight. Now watch how they pick up the toe. 18 there in 4th position is Chantra, the Thai rider. The Thais are having a great afternoon here so far. Now, how's this going to unfold into the first corner then?
5 abreast down into turn 1. Look out for number 6. Again, number 8, in fact. That is one of the Malaysian. No, it isn't number 6. It looked briefly like number 8, but no, that's our pole man again, Yuta Date, using massive speed advantage. He's obviously got his gearing totally right. They've had 6 options today to select their gearing, and he's obviously picked the one that works best in conditions. Just taking a look out of the window now, the wind seems to have dropped slightly, and he is absolutely flying down the start-finish straight.
Just to confirm, we saw Toba went down earlier on at turn 10. He did not rejoin the race, so we are indeed down to 19 runners. That was 15 steaming up the inside of turn 4. That was Rio Mizuna, the Japanese rider, one of 8 Japanese riders in this field. 7 nationalities in total, 8 Japanese, 7 Malaysians, 3 Thais, and the Thais are really having a good go at this. This is turn 6 again. a change for 5th position by the looks of things.
Oh, and nearly a bit of a moment there for Atirad Puvapat. He went in a little bit fast, had to stand it up early on the exit and lost a bit of drive. He actually almost ran into the back of Date there. And actually, there we go. Chantra has got the fastest lap, and Chantra is at the moment sitting in 5th position. So he's pulled through up into 5th position after a bit of a lackluster opening laps. And at 2:14, they have been going faster. That's a good time for qualifying. At 2:14.369 was the best lap in qualifying, but they've been down in the 2:12s. The 2:12.033 was Kaito Toba's fast lap. We've got a rider going very, very wide there.
It was a bit of an agricultural line, wasn't it? Further out to the outside there. But
that's just testing the limits.
It is indeed testing the limits. We're almost on qualifying pace then. But of course, don't forget that very strong headwind as they make their way up the kilometre-long start-finish straight here. So, what a fantastic group this is. One error, and you'll be losing not just 1 position, but probably about 6.
And we're going to have a change for the lead again. Kitami then moves inside his countryman Date, and that's the first time that Kitami's going to hold the lead for more than a corner. And we've still got the 2 Thai riders in 3rd and 4th, just holding on there. And Kaito Toba is in 5th at the moment.
So heading back over the line again. This will be the start of lap 4 of 12 here in this inaugural race for the Shell Advance Asia Tanica round 1 of 2014. 8 laps to go, streaming over the line. Look at this, 6 of them all together. It's going to be 3, maybe even 4 abreast. Down to turn 1. Sarah Pooch then over the line from Kitami, Date and Atirad Puvapat.
Okay, pick a person now who's going to go in, and once again it is Date who's just got the speed, or maybe he's braking later than everybody else. I'm not sure, but nobody can get past him going into turn 1.
Crucially, though, he wasn't ahead when they crossed the line, and that could be something to bear in mind later on in the race. Just following the lines. How many different lines are we seeing, though, from all of them throughout the field? Remarkable stuff. 15 then in 2nd position. That is Mizuno. And is that a problem further back for Wilman Hammer? Has he rejoined from Manov? No, he's just running in a quiet group further back. He's following Shakib Rasul at the moment, the Malaysian. This is a little bit further back in the pack. There is a bit of a gap developing then now. There's actually 10 seconds between 1st and 13th position. Hammer is in 13th position.
Oh, and we're going to have so close there. We got 9 riders all dicing together, and one of them nearly ran into the back of the other. And we got 2 riders off, 21 and 22. That's Takuma Kunimine and Ayoma Sasaki, both running wide there. Kunimine, a late addition to this, and just running a little bit wide. Let's get a replay of this. Watch for about 6th position. No, yes. Going into 5th. Number 10 was that?
I think it was 16. I think it was Toba running wide, who we've seen fighting up at the front of this field all through the race so far, and then 2 or 3 others distracted perhaps by that and almost following him off on the exit of turn 6. So Toba dropping right back, started in 6th position. We'll have to pick him up when they come over the line, but we've still got 7.5 laps to go. And this is great stuff. It's been like this all the way through, hasn't it?
It has indeed. And there's been, just watch their lines. There's a fair amount of different line selection going on for these riders. And some of them aren't taking the same line twice. Running a little bit wide there was Kitami, just going right to the outside of the rumble strip. Had to use his body to haul it back onto the track. And look out, change for 2nd position. Yes, that's number 15, Ryo Mizuno, I think, or is it Toba? That's really hard to see, that one.
It was Mizuno, I believe. That was turn 15. 15 coming through at turn 15, and that's proving to be a popular place so far in this race, isn't it? Atirad Puvapat then back through into 3rd position. Now just watch the gaps between them as they start the start-finish straight, and then look how they close up in the slipstream. Atirad Puvapat pulling up alongside Mizuno as they head back down to turn 1. But for the first time then, it looks as though the lead won't be changing when they get to the first corner. As for 2nd, 3rd and 4th places, it's anyone's guess, isn't it?
Yeah, nobody knows quite what's going to happen in there. I was looking for our female rider, Sarah Pooch, and she dropped right to the back of that field, but has pulled it back into about 4th or 5th position now going down there. Looking slightly further back down the field, we've got a number 5 there, which is Shafiq Ezarik, who's from Malaysia as well, and Fakrizi Rostam, who's our biggest rider. He's about 5'11", the 17-year-old, and he struggles to fit his frame on the back. Look how much bigger he is there than number 8, Bahudin, the Malaysian rider. And he really struggles. He's struggling on top speed as well, nearly 20 kilometers an hour slower than the fastest riders, just because of his bulk. He can't fit all of his body behind the fairing.
Yeah, that's unfortunate for him, isn't it? Massive difference, 20 kilometers an hour down the start-finish straight. So, number 4 still leads the way. This is the right-hander at turn 7, and Kitami just breaking away from the pack at this stage, but it's been so tight. He's pulled out a bit of a gap. I think those back in 2nd, 3rd, 4th places, look, need to start not just battling with each other, but they need to help each other as well if they want to retain a chance of winning this race. Closing right up, look at that. Number 9 in second position. Is it number 9 or
that
am
is
I
Ibrahim
confused?
Noureddin. It is number 9, Ibrahim Noureddin. He's come from nowhere. And again, another late addition to this. He's outpacing his brother at the moment. Adam, this is the younger of the two Noureddin brothers, and he's come from nowhere, really, to drop it up into second position.
So he's already running in second at this
point.
point.
Big wobble, big wobble.
Goodness me, that could have been really scary indeed. But he must have come through while we were watching that group a little bit further back in the pack. As they crossed the line, he was much further down the order. He was in 5th position as they started this lap, but now running second. So just over 6 laps to go. We're almost then at half race distance. Number 2 on the left-hand side. This is the final corner of the lap. That is Sarah Push, and she's looked quick. Let's be honest, all through the test days they've had here so far this week and the free practice sessions between Thursday and today.
Okay, watch out. See if we can see number 6, Utadate, pop out. At the moment, he was in about 7th position, and we know he's quick down the line. And look at him on the inside there, squeezing through. And we're going to have a change of the lead again, and it is Utadate who moves into the lead. So we had the same leader for 2 laps. Gitami held it, but he's not got it anymore. We've got a crasher again. Ralph Torres, the Filipino rider, unfortunately is out. That looks to be on the last corner. No, it's not.
Turn 14, so we've seen trouble there already earlier in the race, and he's already so annoyed with himself with that one, but it looks as though he may be the first rider to crash, but then rejoin the race. He's been shown as out of the race at this stage. We'll let you know if he gets restarted, but here's the battle back up at the front. Double right-handers at turns 4 and 5. We've seen plenty of drama down into this next hairpin, the slowest corner on the circuit, the left-hander at turn 6. Look at the battle ranging. No changes in the top 3 this time, though. That's unusual, isn't it?
It is, and we're only halfway through this race. We've got a long way to go. We've got 4 riders out. Okay, so we're down to 18 out of the original 22 starters, and I think I lost my bet because I thought that 20 would finish. But we did have a lot of crashes early on, but now they found the limits of the machines. I think perhaps occasionally the red mist might fall down on some of them. But these guys at the front are actually giving us a very good display of what these guys and girls, as Sarah Pooch moves briefly into second and does hold the line. Good riding from her there. She didn't back off at all and will carry it into second position.
Brilliant stuff by Kitami as well, the 17-year-old Japanese, to see Sarah Pooch coming up the inside there and just give her the space. That was really fair racing. So can they set off after the leader again? We're seeing leaders break away. 2nd, 3rd and 4th keep battling with each other, but this is a fantastic freight train. All the way down from 1st to 11th position in this race. Who knows, you could throw a blanket over them. This is turn 15 again, and we're seeing plenty of movement going on through here. Not such the case in the World Championship, but with these slightly slower bikes, they're able to get a good run out of 14 and down and then again into the final corner. We're coming through to start the 7th lap of 12 here at Losail.
And it's all changed in that final corner. I don't think anybody's got any form of plan about how to win this race at the moment. You can't say, I want... Well, actually, having said that, if I was Utadate, I would want to be going into that final corner just in the lead, because he just managed to hold on there, because that bike is a rocket ship under him. We're going to have a change for the lead again. 6 abreast, and that's number 15, Ryo Mizuno, who now goes into the lead. He was 4th place when they crossed the line and leads going into turn 1.
Did you notice the change in tactics this time? The previous laps had all been going down the outside of the start-finish straight, all tucked up against the pit wall almost this time, just trying to break the toe of the man behind, or the girl behind, of course, in the case of Ruklada Sarah Push. But here's the battle back up to turn 4. That was Chen we were just watching down in 17th position at the moment. There is a group. Oh, and look at this battle raging now for 3rd. It's getting a little bit too close for comfort around the double rights of 4 and 5. And that's, look what's happened, it's allowed the leaders to break out a little bit of a gap, but I wouldn't imagine it to stay that way for too long. 6 again then, keeping their way around the infield section.
Oh, and running wide, number 4, that was Kitami running wide again. He got a little bit duffed up, battling with the number 9 of Ibrahim Noureddin, and those two were fighting tooth and nail for those 2 corners. I think he pushed Noureddin wide at one point, and then when he tried to come back through, Noureddin gave as good as he got and just pushed him out past the rumble strip. Obviously running onto the AstroTurf that they have here, and manages to rejoin at the back of the group. There is Atirat Pupapat. He's dropped down a little bit now, running in 7th position. But anything can happen. Oh, a little bit of a wobble there between Sarah Pooch. She just got a little bit caught up with one of the other riders.
Yes, Ralph Torres, we saw him crash 2 laps ago. He did not rejoin the race. We said we'd keep close tabs on that, so we are down to 18 runners out of the 22. Sasaki was fastest over the line last time, by the way, fastest lap of the race so far. Sasaki currently down in 8th position. So, turn 15 again. Let's just take stock for a moment and establish the order as they cross the line. And look at the gap now developing then between the first two riders in the race. And the leader is number 15. It is Ryo Mizuno, the 15-year-old Japanese rider. And these Japanese particularly strong. He was taking part last year for the first time in the Japanese JGP3 Championship, was 7th overall in that particular series with the best race result of 4th. But
he's really stretching it out now. He really is. I think he's got a bit of racecraft going on here, though he is getting caught in the draft quite a lot. Mklada Sarapuch closes right up, and I guess that's Date again running a little bit wide in 3rd position, but they've closed the gap up. Any gap that he managed to extend over the course of the lap was eaten up along the kilometre-long start straight here. Looking back at our Chinese rider, Wanhyang Chen, he'll be looking for learning experience there. He was actually slowest in qualifying, really struggling in the headwind. He'd been running in about 14th, 15th position during practice, and when we do get to the round in China, he'll be hoping for a bit more.
Indeed, that taking place on the weekend of the 13th to 15th of June, and 2 races, rounds 3 and 4 at the Zhuhai circuit in China. After Qatar here, we'll be heading to Indonesia, then China. Then we've got a test at Sepang, the race in Malaysia. Then the Japanese Grand Prix will be supporting we'll be supporting the Japanese Grand Prix in the Shell Advance Asia Talent Cup, and then it all comes to the season finale at Sepang again, where it all began with that selection event last year on October the 26th, and that'll be a double header as well, so that'll be a crucial weekend at the end of the season. Now, George, what do you reckon? Is this where they're going to have to start thinking about tactics? We're over 3/4 of the way through this race, and they're going to have to be planning. I need to be in the slipstream, coming out of the final corner if possible, to be ahead as we cross the line.
I think so. I think there's definitely some racecraft going into this now from our leader, especially Ryo Mizuno. For anybody that does follow Japanese racing at all, he rides for the well-renowned Hawk Pro team there. He's actually in their club team, but he's looking to try and step it up. And this Shell Advance Asia Talent Cup is a great way for him to get his name out there and get noticed a lot more and actually learn a lot more about racing. With as many rounds as we have here, it's actually more rounds than he could do in Japan. So there's a lot more for him here. And he's being chased now still by Sarapuch. And we've got number 4, Kitami, moving into 3rd position. So let's watch them as they drag down the straight one more time. And there's a pretty big gap from 1st to 2nd. And then it's all gaggling up behind.
Great move by 21 as well, by the way, at turn 15. He's now tucked up in 4th position. My Japanese colleagues say, watch this guy. He's very, very quick indeed. Look. 4th position now as we head down to turn 1 yet again. Just 3 laps to go then now in this inaugural Asia Talent Cup race, and this really is a titanic battle. 21 steaming through, that is Kununume, the Japanese I was just mentioning, up to 2nd place, but side by side with Sarapuch as they turn left for turn 2. So 3 laps to go. It's getting very tight indeed now, and this is battling still at turn 4, or turn 3 I should say, now down to turn 4.
Oh, 5 abreast there, and Kanimine has bided his time quite well here, and is sort of starting to make a bit of a late charge towards the front of it. He's won races before. You know, he knows how to win races. He's beaten the likes of Yuichi Yui, you know, former World Championship rider and race winner. In the Japanese Championship, and so he knows how to win races, and maybe we're starting to see that now. Those guys who have had a little bit more experience racing these longer duration races, because a lot of these guys haven't done more than 8 or 9 laps in a row in practice.
What a great battle this is, right down to 10th position. You're watching the first 10 riders in the very first Shell Advance Asia Talent Cup race battling with each other. And you wouldn't imagine the man currently sat in, so I say the man, the boy maybe is the more correct form. That's Adam Noureddin, one of the 2 Noureddin brothers, of course, in the field, currently down in 10th position. He is the elder of the 2 brothers, 15 years of age. This is a replay of a little bit earlier on.
And just a slightly wobbly seat unit there for one of the others. But there is a fair amount of flex built into these bikes and into the plastics and stuff. But they've got a really experienced set of crew looking after them, as we may have a change for the lead. No, not quite. Sarapuch is looking very serious there about leading coming down into this final corner. But yeah, a very set of experienced former GP mechanics, guys that used to mechanic for Kevin Schwantz or Daryl Beatty, and have all joined into this and are looking after 4 or 5 guys each, making sure that all the bikes are immaculately prepared.
What's fantastic as well, in my opinion, is to see how close these Honda NSF 250R Moto 3 bikes can follow each other, and there's great proof of it then as we begin the penultimate lap of this round 1 in 2014 in Qatar. Almost 6 abreast. It is 6 abreast into turn 1. Be very, very careful. It's getting tight. Something's got to give here, hasn't it?
Hopefully not. It was Atirat Puvapat who was right on the inside of that, and actually he had to give ground. He overtook 1 but was aiming for 5 and had to settle with just 1 and runs a little bit wide there, number 13, nearly going onto the grass, but it's all changed at the front again as we're going to be 4 abreast, going to 5 abreast.
5 abreast into turn 4, would you believe it?
And it's Date again. Date sweeps back into the lead, but how long will he hold it for? Possibly just 1 corner. No, he holds it for 2 corners, and that's pretty good in this class.
Marvellous stuff. Sarapush was leading into turns 1 and 2, and then it all changed again, and it's going to change again. 15 sliding through up into 3rd position at turn 6.
Kanimine in 2nd now. Kanimine has moved up into 2nd, and Mizuno in 3rd. So we've got Japanese 1, 2, 3 at the moment. The Thai riders are still in this. We've got a couple of the Malaysians in, and running a little bit wide there was Date, and he's going to lose out a little bit. No, just blocks the line. You can't really pass through there most of the time, though I wouldn't bet on it come the last lap. And we've just got 2 to go, and it's all changing, and here comes Sarapuch moving into 3rd position now.
Gladys Sarapuch, the Thai girl rider, the eldest rider in this field, 20 years of age. Remember, the youngest riders right down to 13 years old. Incredible stuff. So just over the 1 lap to go now. This is where they're really going to start thinking about tactics. They've got to be in that toe as they come down the start-finish straight. 1 rehearsal, you could say. We come round this time. This is the exit of turn 14. We've seen plenty of passing going on here into turn 15. 21 is Kunino Mei, and he's the Japanese rider, the man all of our Japanese colleagues are saying watch out for. He's very, very quick indeed, but look at this. This is great stuff going on. Trying to break the toe look by weaving from one direction to the other.
Wow, Sarapuch broke late into there, and that might cost her slightly down the start-finish straight. Look for the guys to fan out behind her, and it is going to be Date who leads once more. Here comes Sarapuch now. She's going to make a move before the line. This is perhaps a practice run. No, she hasn't got the speed to pass him before the line.
So Date leads the way from Sarapuch, and Kudumineme Atirapuvavat is in 4th position as we begin this final lap of the first ever Shed Advance Asia Talent Cup race.
Oh, we've got a crash!
Turn 1, would you believe it? I said something's got to give, and it has. 2 down at turn 1. Oh, bitter, bitter frustration. And who leads the way?
That may have been Sarapuch. That may have been Sarapuch that went down. We need to get confirmation of the numbers. I think it is on the right there. Looks to be her. So it is.
Date leads from Atirapuvapat then as we head up towards.
It was Sarapuch and Ibrahim Noureddin who went down, so we lost 2 of them.
Well, we were worried that was going to happen, and it did, and look what's happened. Then a massive gap has developed between 1st and 2nd position, but that may well close up in the second half of the lap. We've seen gaps bigger than that closing up earlier on in the race, and more action going on. That was a bit of a kamikaze manoeuvre still going on, and well out wide there for number 15 coming out of
Mizuno then. Mizuno totally losing. That's it. His podium chances are gone now. He can't come back from that. So Mizuno has counted himself out of this. And we're down with just about half a lap to go to 3 riders. Number 6, number 13 and number 4. So we've got Japan, Thailand and Japan. Atirapuvapat would love to win this, but surely he's not going to win it at the moment. Not from 3rd position. And these 2 are fighting together. Is working out well for Date.
Irony of ironies that the pole sitter is actually leading the race then on the final lap. It's Yuta Date, the 14-year-old Japanese rider, on course for the first ever Asia Talent Cup victory. But it could change. These are the right-handers coming round towards into the final sector. Surely Date has got this one sorted out now. Started on pole position. Clean start. It was a close qualifying session, less than 1/10 of a second between 1st and 2nd places, and surely the victory will be sealed now then as Atirapuvapat runs out wide at turn 14. Lucky to get away with that one.
He was very, very lucky, and it's about just holding it now down towards the final corner. Let's see what we've got. It's the fight for 3rd position. Let's see the run to the line. It should be Date that will win it, but we've got to change of position in 6th or 7th now. And on the run to the line, Date is taking this home.
Here we go then. Yuta Date, the 14-year-old Japanese rider from pole position, wins the first ever Shed Advance Asia Talent Cup race at Losail. 3 abreast though in the battle for second. Gitame got it from Sasaki, and Atirapuvapat 4th. And Kuninime, who was leading 3 laps from home, ends up finishing 5th, caught up of course in that drama at the first corner.
Wow, that was right up until 2 metres before the line. It was Atirapuvapat in 2nd, and then he just got completely mugged. Sasaki, one of the smallest riders, just shot past them both. And 23 there, that's Wilmar Haman. He comes home in 10th position. A great result for him after being totally new to this just a few days ago. So number 8, 7 and 5 coming in now. Bahudin, Rostam just losing out. You can see how much distance the number 7 lost then on the drag to the line. And
wow,
amazing race, I've got to say. These guys have absolutely nailed it.
Breathless stuff there. That was brilliant action. Thank you very much, guys and girls, for providing us with that drama. There's Chen, the Chinese rider, just crossing the line in 15th position from Noor in 16th. So in the end then, we lost 6 riders out of the 22. 16 did finish the race, and that was brilliant stuff. Well done as well, of course, to Jutta Date, the winner, and from pole position as well.
That last lap crash.
Yep.
Slightly, well, it didn't, to be honest, it didn't ruin the last lap, but it did break up the field slightly. It did give perhaps the breathing space to Jutta Date there, because it was just behind him. It would have upset everybody, but hats off to Date. A pole, a lights to flag victory is very impressive in this class of field.
And the camaraderie we've seen between these riders off the track is certainly transferring to the victory lap now. Celebrations then for the 14-year-old Jutta Date from Japan. They did say watch out for the Japanese. There's 8 of them in the field. And here then is the moment that really did decide this race down into turn 1 at the start of the final lap.
Oh, so it was a mistake there on the inside it's Sarah Petr was on the outside. She was caught up by Noureddin. So it was Noureddin who overcooked it on the way in, locked up, threw the bike down, and that took out Sarah Puch, who was taking a wide line. But that is a note on the final lap: don't take a wide line into turn 1. Go for the inside, and then if you do make a mistake, it's your fault. You don't get cleaned out by somebody else.
Yeah, indeed, that was an unfortunate one, wasn't it, to say the least. That was the younger, of course, of the 2 Noureddin brothers. Sarah Puj really has looked brilliant across the test sessions here and the practice sessions, and that was really, really unfortunate then at the first corner. Wow, what a great race that was, though. Almost out of breath. That was a fantastic 27 minutes of 12-lap action there.
It was. I don't think they can believe it's over yet. They've been here for 6 days now, growing together, learning together, discovering, just absolutely thrashing the throttle on that bike there. I hope he's got a new engine somewhere. But they've been, learning about how to be, championship level riders together. And so there is great camaraderie between all of the guys as we watch a replay of Jutta Date. Look, he's won it by a country mile. Realistically, compared to the distances that we've been dealing with throughout the race. In fact, it was 0.6 of a second.
Yeah, 0.6 of a second. That is massive. That's not massive for the Asia Talent Cup, judging by what we saw through the other 11 laps of the race. Brilliant stuff, and started on pole position. Did drop back a little bit, of course, early doors. That was brilliant entertainment, though, wasn't it, here in the desert? 3:30 in the afternoon local time, and what a brilliant way for the crowd that is starting to filter in to Le Sail to enjoy the day's action. The floodlights will be switched on soon as the sun begins to set in the sky here, and the World Championship action kicks off for 2014 Moto3, Moto2, MotoGP. But for now then, the start of the future, and who knows how long would it be before we could perhaps say here is Jutta Date on the grid of a Moto3 World Championship race.
That would be, that is the goal of this series, but all the investment from the sponsors, Shell, who are really putting a lot into getting these kids good equipment and good levels and good support and making it a real professional championship. And the goal is to help nurture the talent. We've had it in Europe for a long time with the Red Bull rookies, and before that the Movistar Cup. And Alberto Puch has been involved in all of those. He knows what to look for with young riders. He knows what makes a rider fast and what things you can sort of manage out of a rider, what tendencies you can encourage and what tendencies you just can't do anything about. And he's looking very carefully at all of these riders, and will be, as we take a look at the final results.
Oh, we said watch for the Japanese. Look at that. That flag quite prominent there down the first top 9. But Jutta Date is the first ever winner of a Shell Advance Asia Talent Cup race. His compatriots sharing the podium, so it is indeed then an all-Japanese podium. Brilliant stuff there, George. What great entertainment that was.
1.9 seconds between the top 8.
Wow.
That's pretty phenomenal, really, to be honest with you. And then even further back, you had battles all the way down. Wilman Hamar, Shafiq Rasol fighting together. Nazirul Bahudin, Fakuzi Rostam all fighting together. And our non-finishers, Helmi Azman and Yoshida, those two crashing out together. Toba and Torres crashing out at different points. And of course, we lost Noureddin and Sarah Petr on that final lap. So we will move on to the next round, which will be in Indonesia in May, on the 9th to the 11th of May, and that will be the second time that we get to see these guys race as we wait for them to get up on the podium, and we'll have a national anthem. There is Hiroshi Oyama, and you know, he's worked with Alberto Puig before for a long time, and in fact a lot of the Malaysian and Japanese riders have been coming down and visiting and giving words of encouragement, and especially the Malaysian riders have actually been speaking to their countrymen a lot during the week.
Yeah, they had a trip around the MotoGP paddock as well. It was a lot of wows going on, and gasps and photos being taken on mobile telephones. It's incredible, really, to think they're mingling in this paddock with their own heroes and then racing on the circuit in front of them all, and in particular, of course, for Yuta Date winning the race. There are the floodlights then being switched on here at Losail to ensure a smooth transition from day to night.
Or day to semi-day.
Or day to evening and evening to night, indeed.
Because it never really gets dark here. When they turn the floodlights on in the middle of the afternoon, it stays that sort of ambient light for the rest of the night. And these kids have been racing in sort of old school Qatar conditions. The heat of the day, 29 degrees, is not to be sniffed at. It is pretty baking out there. The wind does cool it a little bit, but you know, it's one of the reasons why we now race at night in Qatar, is because it was just so hot. Because we used to come here at a different date of the year, but they've really had a bit of a baptism of fire, but they've come through with flying colours as we take a look at some of the action from the race, heading down into turn 1.
Yes, there's number 4 there, that is Kitami. Earlier on in the race, he was tipped as a favourite as one of the Japanese. Look at the bike there, that's the headwind as well, look, showing the bike, the movement on the tail section of the bike there. It wasn't too difficult in the end, was it, to identify those numbers? Very clear on the front of the fairings.
Yeah, the 8s and the 6s look kind of similar, and the odd 9 thrown in there is occasionally difficult to see. But no, they've done a great job of making them all identifiable. And actually, the wind didn't play as much of a part as we thought. Perhaps it did accentuate the draft a little bit, but it didn't really catch anybody out that we saw distinctively. You know, it was normally on the entrance to corners that people made mistakes, not midway through. We didn't see people just losing the front end for no reason.
Yeah, no coincidence, of course, that Yuta Date did come through. I mean, he was fortunate in some ways, first of all, not to be involved in the incident at turn 1, and secondly, of course, it opened up a gap behind him, but he had got himself to the front in the first place, and that was obviously timed. Been watching carefully, testing out these slips. Do you remember the World Championship points system is the same in the Asia Talent Cup? This was plenty of the action we saw. This was when they got 4, 5 abreast, I think, coming down. Yes, there you go, look, into turn 4. That was a sensational manoeuvre there. Often you see bikes 5 abreast around this place. And
5 abreast, and only 1 accident when they were 5 abreast. That in itself shows that they're really working, you know, they're really concentrating. Yuta Date is just making it down now towards the podium. Perhaps he stalled the bike or ran out of fuel, but he's just rolling down pit lane now. It's a very long lap here, remember, so it's a long cool-down lap for these guys as well. But he's going to be very happy, and he's going to be swinging in to see his father, who's been looking after him and helping prep the bike all through the week.
We saw them pulling in. Perhaps the bike and rider were away there. That was Carmelo Espoleto, I believe, the CEO of Dorna Sports, is congratulating. You can hear the tears going on. Listen.
Very, very excited, very happy young man there. He was he was thrilled with pole with yesterday, and he's got a smile that can really light up the world. And so 2 Japanese, 1 and 2, great start for them.
Parc Ferme, then the first Parc Ferme of the season, the first of 8 races, of course, across 6 venues. The Japanese lead the way at the moment then in the Asia Talent Cup.
We're just waiting for the 3rd place person, Ayumu Sasaki, to roll in.
Shui Nakimoto there on the right-hand side of the screen. Head, of course, of HRC. He's watching very carefully indeed.
He'll be very pleased with that. Honda supplying all of the bikes for this and all of the spares, of which they have needed quite a few after the crashes early on, but they won't need so many now. And Honda really investing in this. No, we're very happy that one of the Japanese has won, and in fact an all-Japanese podium.
Yeah.
But it really wasn't a foregone conclusion. At the beginning of the week, perhaps you could have thought that with the level of experience that these riders bring, but the Thai riders, especially Sarah Pooch, Atirat Puvapat, and then also Chantra in 6th position, really they've shown that this is going to be a big fight, and it's not just going to be dominated by some of the more experienced Japanese riders.
Yeah, you're absolutely right. It's going to be fantastic to see what happens over the remaining 7 races of this inaugural season. 7 nationalities in total then in the field. 8 of them are Japanese riders. Japanese podium today. 4 of the top 5 are Japanese. You can see the breeze, look at the hair.
There is Kitame. Good ride from him. He was in 4th place on the grid, made it up into 2nd. And here's our 3rd place finish, Ayumu Sasaki. A little pocket rocket, really. He's the smallest of the riders. And you'll see when we see him standing next to, that's his father, who's also pretty small. But you'll see when he's standing next to the other guys that he's barely squeaking over 5 foot.
The Japanese flag on the top of the helmet there. The tyres took a little bit of a pounding. The Bridgestone rear there, left-hand shoulder.
I think he's disappointed. I think he's disappointed with that. You know, I think he thinks he could have done better, but a podium is not to be sniffed at. There we go. The international sound from Alberto Puig, the international hand gesture of next time, next race. So Sasaki will get more out of him. Perhaps he was too far back for most of the race. He didn't really feature in the top 3 or 4 positions until right at the end. And to be honest, only snuck onto the podium by the tiniest whisker, really.
Yeah, not a bad ride though. Started on the 3rd row of the grid. Started in 8th position. This is a brand new procedure then for all of these riders making their way. Then they'll make their way up through that box there, up the stairs, and around to the back of the podium. This is actually going on at the hairpins. That's turn 10, I believe, earlier on in the race. Look at the dust on the AstroTurf on the outside. And this then was the moment that arguably, well, not arguably, it certainly played a massive part in this first ever race. It's not the moment, actually. I thought that was the incident coming up there down at turn 1. Just a few highlights of this very first Asia Talent Cup race. So many slipstreaming battles, but it wasn't just the slipstream, was it? To be fair, they were battling all around the circuit.
They were indeed, and that was Sasaki just at the end, just squeezing through, overtaking 2 riders on the line to claim 3rd position. He really wasn't happy, actually, with 8th place in qualifying. He thought he could have done a lot better, and I think he's putting a lot of pressure on himself to do well. He's very focused. He puts his headphones in his ears and has his old pre-race ritual, nearly losing it there. His overexcitement was Date as he came down pit lane, high-fiving all of the mechanics.
We almost saw a 7th crash of the afternoon there then for the race winner in the pit lane. Absolute delight though. Whatever happens in the rest of his career, he can say, I've won a Shed Advance Asia Talent Cup race, and not just any, the very first one.
And at a very different circuit to anything they've ridden before. This is a big, wide, long circuit. It's the longest lap. Well, it's nearly as long as they'll take to get around Sepang, but perhaps with the 2 long straights at Sepang, it might take them a little bit longer. But as we wait for them to come out onto the podium, which they should be any moment.
It's 5.3 kilometres, 3.3 miles in length, the sail, 12 metres wide at its widest point. 3 Japanese riders then making their way out onto the podium. Date Kitame and Sasaki.
See, look at the size of Sasaki there. I know he's going to be on the lowest point, but he is weeny compared to the others. And he's got a lot of growing to do, and he will do over the next couple of years.
1st and 2nd almost on the same height as well, look. So the 3 Japanese flags fluttering in the Qatari wind above the podium there.
So there we go. The first trophy of the year, and probably not the last for Sasaki. I think he's a bit happy, but I really think he's placing a lot of pressure on himself to not be happy with 3rd position. She's how dedicated and how seriously they're taking it. Kitame there, Surugu Kitame, 2nd position, much happy with that. He's really come on this week, really learnt the bike a lot more. But our winner is Yuta Date. a great performance, a commanding race, considering the conditions, considering how close it was. Yuta Date wins the inaugural Shell Advance Asia Talent Cup here in Qatar. There we go. Japanese lockout 1, 2, and 3, and they'll be back to race again. We've had 1 of 8 races here in the Shell Advance Asia Talent Cup. There's plenty more action to come from these guys. Don't think they'll be having champagne.
No, I certainly don't think so. I was thinking the same thing myself, actually.
No, I don't think they'll be having any champagne. We've only got 2 of them that are old enough to have champagne, so none of these are. So not this time, and I think we're just waiting for a few photos. But great racing from all of these guys, and I think that's the podium, though great, is not a representation of how close the racing was. It would have been great if one of the Thai riders had managed to sneak on, but in the end, it was hard. Yeah, it was 5 1,000ths that made the difference, really, between 3rd and 4th position for Sasaki and Atirat Puvapat. And Kaminene only half a second behind as well.
There's your first top 3 then. The very first Shell Advance Asia Talent Cup race here in Qatar. Just 1.9 seconds covered the top 8. What a great inauguration it was then for the Shell Advance Asia Talent Cup. We'll be back in action from Indonesia for round 2 of this 2014 season on the 11th of May. But from Qatar, it's Yuta Date who wins the first ever Shell Advance Asia Talent Cup race.